So, as of this recording, Steve, we are just a few days away from Wicked, the movie musical, coming out. And how excited are you?
I'm 11 excited. I'm so pumped. I've been waiting for this movie for 20 years, Corey. 20.
Honestly, for the longest time, I thought they were just going to do an animated film, and I would have been okay with that. But 20 years.
That's a testament to its staying power on Broadway. Like, they are still consistently filling theaters with that. For 20 years. It is such a remarkable show.
Yeah, when I recently went down to New York City earlier this year, I thought about maybe that'll be one of the shows me and my friend would try to catch. It was either that or Book of Mormon. And they were both, one, either sold out, or two, like tickets were still pretty expensive, all things considered.
I'm sure.
They're absolutely hyping this up left and right. And I'm almost worried about that, but I feel like they're only doing that because musicals. That's the biggest reason why they're hyping it up, is because, like, no, we can't really hide the fact this is a musical. So, yeah, it's a musical, but it's going to be great, everybody. Please come see it.
Please, please, everyone see it.
I'm going to try to go on Black Friday, and I want to go to IMAX to see this. Because if I'm going to see it, I gotta have that experience.
Strong. Yeah, I am going to be seeing it the first week of December. Melanie is coming out to visit then, and so we're going to go see it together. The adorbs.
You going to get the collector's popcorn tin?
I might. We'll see.
Although I will say the special edition popcorn tins for Wicked, very unfuckable.
That's a downside for me, you know? Dune really set the bar.
Dune set the bar, Deadpool lifted it even higher, and everyone's got to play catch up now. I'm telling you. What is the mouthfeel of this popcorn bucket? And speaking of mouthfeel, Steve, do you want to get started?
I don't know if I do now.
That's too bad for you. Hit that intro.
Two friends named Corey and Steve like talking about films and TV. They thought, hey, what if this was a show? That's how we got here, now you know. Wait, what's the name? That sounds terrible, go on. That sounds terrible, go on. We hope you stick around and have some fun right after our intro song. That sounds terrible, go on.
Welcome back, folks, to another fantastic episode of That Sounds Terrible, Go On. I'm your host, Corey.
And I'm somebody's host, Steve.
Steve, one day we're going to find out whose host you are.
And that will be the last day of the pod.
That's going to be a very sad day. It's going to be a strange day. Some might even say it's a weird day, Steve.
I don't know, that doesn't sound very scientific.
Well, Steve, you're in luck because it's weird science. On today, of all days, Hughes-Giving.
Ah, what a blessed holiday Hughes-Giving is.
Folks, we are so excited to be bringing back this classic, fourth year in a row, for Hughes-Giving.
When we said we were going to do this, I was excited because I hadn't seen it since I was a little kid, and I was like, yeah, it's a fun movie. It's a good time. I'm not so excited now.
You know, Steve, I have to kind of be in agreement. You know, today, again, we're watching 1985's Weird Science, directed and written by the one, the only, the namesake for this holiday, a Mr. John Hughes. And this was a first-time watch for me. And I definitely have some thoughts. Can't wait to get into it. There's some good. There's some bad. There's some cringe.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a very severe lack of science in this film. Like science that matters. You know?
Yeah, it's weird, right?
It really is. And when I think of that weird science, I start thinking of the scientific method. And I think the thing I really want to prove is, Steve, don't I know you?
Don't you?
Let's find out.
Let's.
All right, question 1. In the film, Lisa is a combination of hots and smarts, making her the ultimate babe. So, Steve, what celebrity's brain would you put in to another celebrity's body to make the ultimate babe?
Ooh, all right, good question. You know what, I might get some flack for this, but hear me out. Sydney Sweeney's brain in Rachel McAdams' body.
I'll allow this. Good answer.
Yeah, that's the move. That's absolutely the move. Corey, what celebrity's brain are you going to put in what celebrity's body to make the ultimate babe?
My ultimate babe is going to be Aubrey Plaza's brain in Anna Kendrick's body.
Ooh, all right, all right. I love it.
Give me the short girl with a dark, twisted sense of humor. I'm in.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they are. Question two. In one scene, the trio find themselves residing in a dive bar. Steve, do you have a dive bar story to share?
Hmm. Do I have a dive bar story? I don't have any good stories that take place in dive bars. There was just one time I went with a woman I was seeing at the time. I don't know what led us to this bar, but it was super super divey. And when we ordered our drink, literally a roach walked across the bar, and we were like, "Nope," and we left. Not what you want to see when you're at a bar. Just like walking right across the bar there, and no one paid any mind to it.
Yeah, that definitely would bug me too.
That joke has definitely got legs.
And a thorax.
Hey, Corey, you have any dive bar stories?
I sure do. I was traveling down to New York City, and somewhere in like southern Manhattan, there was a bookstore that I found, used bookstore. Of course, I gotta hit it up, gotta take a look, see what they got. So I get there. Now, Google said they opened at 10:30 in the morning. So I get there at about 11 a.m. They are not open. There is a sign that says they're going to be opening closer to 12:30. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to kill some time. And I did see there's like a McDonald's down the way and they've got the free Wi-Fi. So fine, I'll go grab like a coffee and just sit in a McDonald's for like an hour and a half or whatever. So as I'm walking, I pass by this bar that I'll never forget the name of it. It was called the Bar of the Americas.
It's a lofty claim.
I walked past it, got to the McDonald's, was standing in line, and there's like 20 to 30, like I I'm 90% sure it was like one of those tour buses, but they were all Chinese.
Hmm.
So it's clearly like someone just going around, like, drive, the tour bus thing where they drive
I
around
do.
like a city and they like point out everything and they talk to you in your native language. So I got there, I'm behind all these people. I wait like 5 minutes and I went, what the hell am I doing? I want to go experience something. So I walked back to the bar, went inside, sat down. Now, this bar is as dark as you could imagine. It was definitely disgusting. It's still filled with regulars, and mind you, it is before 11:30 in the morning at this point. So going in, sat down at the bar, bartender, who was a woman about my size who could easily have thrown me, turns to me out of nowhere, doesn't ask me for my drink order. She asks me, "Hey, what's your best poop story?"
Wow.
Yeah, I'll save that story for another time. That's my dive bar story.
It's beautiful.
Question three. Now, the boys' party is suddenly crashed by mutant bikers. Steve, have you ever had one of your parties crashed?
Yeah, actually, recently, my roommates and I were throwing a Halloween party. Actually, earlier this month, it was on the 1st of November because we were fashionably late. I guess a friend of a friend brought some people who had spent all day at the Dodgers parade after they had won the big sports ball game, and these rowdy gentlemen were unsavory folks. They were just kind of getting in everyone's business and being loud and obnoxious and doing some things at parties that I'm not a fan of. I don't want to get into specifics, but leave the powders at home if you're going to be going to someone's party.
Got it. They decided, you know what? I'm in California. I may as well go skiing. Is that it?
That is exactly what happened. Yeah, anyway, it turned out all right for us. They left eventually, long after I'd gone to bed. Corey, you have a party crashing story to tell?
No, I really don't. No, any party I've ever held, it never had unwanted people randomly show up. I've had people bringing like friends before, but I'm usually just been like, cool, as long as they're not an asshole, that's great. Even when I hold like big going out parties where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be in this bar, come through if you want. No one's ever brought anybody that made me go, yeah, no, get him out of here.
Challenge accepted.
Oh my God, it's the 1982 Chicago Bears. What are you doing here?
Duh, Bears.
And now, I know you.
And I know you.
All right, folks, that was Don't I Know You. Now, before we get to our next segment, just a quick commercial break. Be right back.
We love our sponsors. Hey, folks, did you know that we're a couple of corporate whores? We will do whatever you say for money. That's right. We'll give an ad that promises the world to your potential customers for whatever you're trying to sell. Is it true? Doesn't matter. Is it going to work? Still doesn't matter. Give us $5, give us $10. We'll make all your dreams come true as long as your dreams are limited to having your product hawked on our podcast.
But, Steve, what if I don't have an advertisement written for you?
Well, for a small extra fee, we can write one for you, aka make one up on the spot and half-ass it.
That's right, folks. If you have any interest in advertising with us, please, please, please hit us up on our Instagram at That Sounds Terrible Pod, or find us on Twitter by looking up That Sounds Terrible. Go on.
Slide into our DMs so we can slide into your ads. We're going to do an ad for you.
That's right, folks. Fill our bank accounts so we can line your pockets with that sweet, sweet internet money. Welcome back, folks.
Hey there.
So, Steve, I've had a day, man.
Yeah? Tell me about it.
You know, it all started with waking up, no Folgers in my cup, completely out of Folgers.
Oh, jeez.
But you know what made my day a little bit better, Steve?
What's that, Corey?
Why, it's the members of our cast and crew!
Oh, it's the cast and crew!
As always, folks, the cast and crew is part of the pod. We talk about some cast members, talk about some crew members. Now, are we going to be able to get to every single person?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Every single guest at that party.
Steve, abso-frickin-lutely not. No, what? No, come on, man. Steve, we've been here long enough. You know we're not doing that.
6 of the party guests?
Steve, you can't science your way out of this one.
Damn it.
But, folks, of course, if there is somebody that we may have missed that you feel like we should have touched on, please feel free, hit us up on our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube page and tell us who it is that we missed. Starting off, though, we have the director, the writer, Mr. John Hughes. As said in previous celebrations of Hughes-Giving, when it came to 80s directors and writers, there was nobody on the level of John Hughes. Now, Hughes was best known as the writer of such films as 1983's Mr. Mom, all of the National Lampoon Vacation films featuring Chevy Chase, 1990's Home Alone, and its 1992 sequel Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, as well as 1996's Pretty in Pink, just to name a few. When it came to directing, he would only direct scripts that he himself wrote, such as 1984's 16 Candles, 1986's Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 1985's The Breakfast Club,
Episode 64.
1987's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles,
Episode 19.
and 1989's Uncle Buck.
Episode 35.
Unfortunately, Hughes would pass away after suffering a heart attack near a hotel he was staying at while visiting his son in New York City in August of 2009. The namesake for Hughes-Giving, the main reason that we are all here today, because I'm pretty sure I was conceived to a John Hughes film. What is there to say about this man's direction? Let's start there. What did you think of the direction here?
I mean, the direction is competent. He obviously knows what he's doing behind a camera. There's no denying that. But, I mean, it's very silly. It's the best way to put it. It's not a film that takes itself very seriously. It's kind of wacky and cartoonish.
Yeah, it almost feels like he's trying, but not trying real hard.
Yeah.
I don't want to say he's phoning it in, because there's definitely some really solid Hughesisms throughout the film, like sprinkled in here and there, but this almost feels kind of lowbrow for John Hughes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I guess that's like we can pivot into the writing with that too. Yeah, there's a bit of silliness, a little bit of seriousness, and I feel the seriousness doesn't really come in until the end, and it's kind of jarring when it happens. You're like, oh, we're not just doing wacky hijinks the film, we're actually trying to teach a lesson, which I always appreciate about Hughes, because it feels like he's always trying to leave you with some type of advice to live your life. But this time around, we didn't really ease much into that. It felt like we just all of a sudden leaped into the pool And oh no, life lessons all around me.
Yeah, the pacing is not great in this one either. Like, the beginning and the ending are both super rushed, and the bulk of the movie is really the party.
And I feel like on some level, it's a teenage hijinks silly film, so it's justified in doing that. We should expect it to do that, but also we expect better from Mr. Hughes at the end of the day.
We do. Yes.
Moving on, though, to Anthony Michael Hall as Gary Wallace. Now, Hall is best known as Ted Farmer in 1984's 16 Candles, Brian Johnson in 1985's The Breakfast Club,
Episode 64.
Jim in 1990's Edward Scissorhands, Tommy Doyle in 2021's Halloween Kills, Rusty Perot in ABC's The Goldbergs, Mr. David Davidson in 2001's Freddy Got Fingered, and Russ Griswold in 1983's National Lampoon's Vacation. He was also a cast member on Saturday Night Live's 11th season. He is a winner of one MTV Movie Award. Mr. Michael Hall returning here to the pod, and let's talk his performance. I think he was kind of what he needed to be. He was over the top. He was funny a lot of the times. He's definitely the joke man of the duo here between him and Wyatt. There's nothing award worthy here, but he makes the film fun.
Yeah, he acted the part as it needed to be acted. There are definitely some choices in the script of this character that we will get to. But as far as his performance goes, he did great. He's like a much more versatile actor than I think a lot of people give him credit for. It's easy to typecast him, but like different typecasts at different stages of his life. Like this, he's still sort of in the mousy nerd sort of mold, but he's starting to break out of that. And then we get into the early '90s when he becomes the total like beefcake jock type, and it's just like a complete 180. And then he got kind of typecast in those for a while, and then as an adult, it's just been more bit parts. But out of the duo of the leads, he's the Seth to Wyatt's Evan.
One of the things you said is like him being typecast too. Keeping in mind in The Breakfast Club, which, was shot and released a year later after this one, he was originally cast to be the jock in that film.
Really?
So, yeah,
Little tiny Anthony Michael Hall?
you know what? You get the right sweater, you can cover up a lot of muscles, man. I'm telling you. I think he's always wanted to break out of that. And obviously the 90s came around and he definitely did, but he was getting ready to break out of that. Like think about it. 1984's 16 Candles. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, his nickname in that was the Geek.
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
You can either call him the Geek or the Virgin, or pretty much he plays like a snivelly little troll-like thing. We'll get there whenever we get there. But no, he's someone who has range, and I feel like he's always had range. He's kind of like a sleeper in that sense.
Yeah, I'd grant him that. Dude's got talent.
Next up, we have Elan Mitchell-Smith as Wyatt Donnelly. Now, Mitchell-Smith is best known as Andy McAllister in the syndicated Superboy TV series, and this role here, that's about it. He did not do much of note.
Hmm.
I didn't know until then that there was a Superboy TV series. Just gonna throw that out there.
Neither did I. I think he does a decent job here. He's the straight man of the duo, the worrier, the oh no, everything is going wrong, and he's also the boy with all the toys.
Someone's got to fund this wacky, weird adventure.
For realsies, this kid is loaded.
It's actually kind of crazy to think that that family probably just has like a mid-tier job and the mom doesn't work and they're able to afford all that.
The '80s.
Yeah, we only got a taste of that in our youth. It's fine. It's fine. It's not fine. The economy is in shambles. But I think, yeah, his performance, it's just okay. You could replace him pretty easily with any other teenager that could read lines. I don't think he brought anything special. I don't even think like his look was anything special. He's there, and he does a decent job. But again, nothing that should win an award or is noteworthy.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Kelly LeBrock as Lisa. Now, LeBrock is best known as Andy Stewart in 1990's Hard to Kill, Lauren Goodhue in 1998's Wrongfully Accused, and she was also a Pantene shampoo commercial spokeswoman who coined the pop culture catchphrase, "Don't hate me because I'm beautiful." I kind of really like LeBrock in this film. She's got great facial expressions all throughout. Even the way she's delivering lines in this like soft, coy manner, much like how Lisa's character is, she's like always plotting something. I don't know if that was just based off of Hughes's direction, or maybe she actually does have some pretty solid acting chops, but I was not disappointed in this performance.
Yeah, I mean, you can always see the gears turning whenever she's on screen. It can't be easy to play an omnipotent being of just pure magic, but she does it and she keeps it interesting. Just the way she's written and the age that she's written at. But we'll get to that.
Oh, we'll get to that. And folks, it's going to be members of our cast and crew.
Hey, it's the cast and crew!
Next up, the generically named How It's Made.
Hey, how'd they make that?
As always, folks, with the generically named How It's Made, I have gone through and compiled an entire production history, to the best of my ability, about the film that we have watched here today. Taken all of this, put it into a document. We've given it here to Steve. Steve is opening this up right now for the very first time, and he's going to read this off, giving us his takes as we go. So, Steve, whenever you're ready, take it away.
After Joel Silver acquired the film rights to Weird Science comic book in the early 1980s, this was a comic book? Oh boy. He would hire John Hughes to pen the script based on the Al Feldstein story Made of the Future from the 5th issue. John would finish the script after 2 days. So this is like an anthology comic, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was one of those 1950s, early 60s anthology comics. This one was more about just science fiction, hence Weird Science.
Huh, weird. Anthony Michael Hall would pass on starring in 1985's National Lampoon's European Vacation, also written by Hughes, in order to star in this film. Kelly LeBrock would initially turn down the role of Lisa as she was vacationing in France at the time and was, quote, having too much fun riding horses on the beach. Oh, yeah. The role would then be offered to model Kelly Emberg, but she would drop out after 2 days of filming due to creative differences. LeBrock would be again offered the role and this time would accept. Guess she was done with those horses. Filming was originally planned to begin on September 24th, 1984, but would be delayed to October 2nd, 1984. Filming would take place primarily in Chicago, Illinois. Big shock for John Hughes. The school scenes were shot at Niles East High School in Skokie, Illinois. The mall scenes were shot at Northbrook Mall in Northbrook, Illinois. And the car chase scenes were shot on the Central Street in Highland Park, Illinois. The remainder of the film would be shot on sound stages and in the backlot at Universal City Studios in Los Angeles, California. The theme song, Weird Science, was written by Danny Elfman in the car while driving home to Los Angeles after a phone call with John Hughes, with Hughes asking him to write a song for the movie. Elfman claims to have heard the whole thing in his head by the time he ran home to his studio to record the demo. What else can you say about the song except that it is a banger and probably the best thing about this movie?
No surprise that someone as weird as Danny Elfman wrote it and that Oingo Boingo, which is still one of the greatest band names ever, performed it.
Filming would wrap on December 21st, 1984, with it being a closed set the entire time in order to keep the film's plot a secret. Was that really that hard in the 80s? Come on. Weird Science would be released on August 2nd, 1985, and would go on to make $38.9 million against a $7.5 million budget. Not bad. It would go on to spawn a sitcom of the same name, which aired on the USA Network starting in 1994. Wow. Would have thought that it was sooner than that. It would last 5 seasons and 88 episodes? Jesus. This seems like the kind of thing that would just flop right away.
So this was actually something that, for whatever reason, they started doing this with some random films here and there. Like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids got a TV show where they replaced all of the performers, but essentially just turned into hijinks of the week. And that's kind of what Weird Science, the show, was. In it, Lisa is there. They recreate the whole thing. It's completely different performers all around. And Lisa essentially grants them wishes instead. However, the wishes are only temporary. And of course, at the end, it just teaches them a lesson about life and whatever else. It's not bad. It's actually kind of fun if you just want to munch popcorn and watch a stupid, silly sitcom. That's it. That's all I got for it.
All right. So, The Fairly Odd Parents before The Fairly Odd Parents. As of 2013, a remake had been planned by Universal Studios, with the plan being to make it more of an edgier R-rated comedy akin to 21 Jump Street. In 2017, there was a rumor that Channing Tatum was planned to be cast, hopefully as Lisa. Let's be real.
That's literally what I first thought, and I would love a gender swapped version of this film as a remake. I think that'd be a ton of fun.
Within reason. There would have to be some things that would be updated.
Make them in college instead of high school, and I think I'm more sold.
There we go. There we go. Don't make him 15. As of the recording of this episode, nothing of the remake has materialized. I mean, I'd probably watch it. If it happened. Especially if Channing Tatum's in it.
One little quick thing before we wrap up the generically named How It's Made. I just want to say that I did locate the story that this whole script is based off of. Again, Made of the Future. It is the first part of the fifth issue of the Weird Science comic book. So, to give a quick breakdown, the story is about a man whose wife divorces him, and he goes walking around Rockefeller Center for reasons, stumbles across a time travel group who are from 200 years in the future. They're just there admiring the architecture. I'm not kidding about that line whatsoever.
Wow.
So he joins them, hops to the future, steals someone's clothes, starts walking around the future, finds a place that's like, we'll build you the best wife imaginable. And he just walks in, picks up a wife, and then takes this box o' wife back home, combines the ingredients in his bathtub, and he has a wife. Now, the wife is, of course, everything that he loves, desires, blah, blah, blah. This wife, though, still ends up leaving him, and he's pretty sure what happened is she found another tour group in Rockefeller, got on the thing, and went 200 years in the future, and is just wandering around the future aimlessly. That's it. That's the story. There's no moral. There's no like actual conclusion that matters. It's a really awful, awful like plot in my opinion, because nothing really happens. Nothing that makes me go, "Ooh, that was a cool aspect," which you got sometimes with these because people were just churning out crap because they wanted to get paid. Let's be honest about it.
Right.
But yeah, just for anyone curious, whoever wanted to hunt it down, you could just Google it. Weird Science Volume 5. You'll find some sketchy websites where you can read it off if you really want to, or you could probably go and spend like a few hundred or so dollars and buy the book online somewhere if you really want to. Don't recommend it. It's absolutely a waste of money and your time.
Wow, that has like nothing to do with this movie.
Yeah, I was really shocked that the only thing it has to do with this movie is that, oh, we made a woman out of science. That's it.
Damn. Thus concludes the generically named How It's Made. Oh, that's how they made it.
All right, folks, before we move on to our next segment, just another quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't be weird about it.
Sponsors and dollars and sponsors making us some money.
Folks, you've been asking about it for years. You come up to me, you come up to Steve, and you say, guys, where's the merch for the pod?
I know, right? Just leave us alone for 2 seconds, people.
That's right, Steve. We've been way too busy doing all types of other things, such as jumping jacks and putting together puzzles and
Documents.
tons of documents. But who has time to sit there and truly set up a merch store?
Not me, I'll tell you what. If only there was an easier way for us to open up a merch store to sell our merch to people.
Well, you know what, Steve? There is live right now. We have the That Sounds Terrible Go On podcast store, and it's all available on redbubble.com. Go to redbubble.com. Look up our store. It is TSTGo-pod. Again, TSTGo-pod. You'll see fun little things that we say on here. You'll find stickers, shirts, hats.
That's some high quality merchandise if I ever did see it right there.
So that's right, folks. Hit up redbubble.com, search TSTGo-pod, all one word, and we'll see you there.
Capitalism, baby!
Welcome back, folks.
Hey there.
Oh, Steve, listen, I have been in the laboratory all day. I've been mixing a whole plethora of things, and I've learned something that apparently You can't mix chlorine with bleach, even though they're both really great cleaners.
Are you sure about that?
You know what? I actually am, because when I did it, I was immediately chased out, and I was told that that's mustard gas. But like, I don't see an issue with mustard gas. I love mustard,
Yeah, mustard it goes on everything.
not chocolate.
Not with that attitude.
You know, Steve, if we continue talking about this, I'm going to become very nauseous. And if I become nauseous, I might throw up. And if I throw up, I think I'm going to break down.
Oh no, not the breakdown.
That's right, Steve. It's the breakdown.
Oh, don't do this to me.
As always, folks, with the breakdown, we are going through breaking down this entire plot, scene by scene, giving our takes as we go. Now, are we able to touch on every little detail here?
Yeah, we you know what we might as well. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's open up that screenplay. Let's bring up the video file.
Steve, I am not a scientist. I never will be a scientist. So we're not doing this at all.
Oh heck.
But folks, if you feel the same way as Steve does, be sure to hit us up on our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube page and tell us what we should have talked about. All right, let's get scienced. Let's get weird. Let's get Lisa's number, honestly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to call her up and strike out with her. That's my goal.
It's 1. Her number is 1.
Hitting this breakdown in 3, 2. Nerdy social outcast students Gary Wallace and Wyatt Donnelly of Shermer High School are humiliated by senior jocks Ian, played by Robert Downey Jr., and Max, played by Robert Russler, for swooning over their cheerleader girlfriends Deb, played by Suzanne Snyder, and Hilly, played by Judy Aronson. The big fanfare introduction to our protagonists, as they clearly look out of place in a room full of female gymnasts.
Yeah, they're just standing there, just perving out on him.
And like, it's not even in like a way that's like sexually perving. They're just like, oh my God, I'd love to ask her out. Oh, she's so beautiful. It's not like, I feel like if this was an R-rated film, they definitely would have said some really heinous crap.
I mean, they say they want to shower with them.
Do they? You know, I tuned a lot of this out.
No, there's some not so great stuff that they say.
That's unfortunate because the showering thing also circles back around.
Yeah.
But on the plus side, we also get a decent intro to the personalities of Gary and Wyatt. Gary is the dreamer and creative type, and Wyatt tries to stay grounded, but he just gets sucked into Wyatt's daydreams. And of course, them getting pants shows that they're losers.
That is what happens when you're a loser. But like, was that a thing that like gym classes back then were like separated into boys and girls?
I think at some level, probably. No, so keep in mind, this is Illinois.
Yeah.
So the rules could have been different. I never heard of this being a thing, but also, you know, you were born in 1990, I was born in 1991. You know, I've always had, you know, intergendered gym classes my entire life.
Same.
So who knows? Who knows? If anybody out there does know, please let us know on our Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube page.
Okay, thanks.
And then we have these opening credits, which are fantastic. I love this. Set to the film's theme song, Weird Science by Oingo Boingo. The song is a bop. These graphics are a bop. I like the title card looks so cool.
Yeah, it's all lightning-y and science-y and just 80s as hell.
It's like one of the best things about this entire film.
Agreed.
Humiliated and disappointed at their direction in life and wanting more, Gary convinces the uptight Wyatt that they need a boost in popularity in order to win their crushes away from Ian and Max. Alone for the weekend with Wyatt's parents, played by Doug McHugh and Pamela Gordon, gone, Gary is inspired by the 1931 film Frankenstein to create a virtual woman using Wyatt's computer, infusing her with everything they can conceive of to make the perfect dream woman. After they hook electrodes to a doll and hack into a government computer system for more power, a power surge creates Lisa, a beautiful and intelligent woman with reality warping powers. One detail I liked, Wyatt's room has 2 beds in it, which to me is implying that Gary stays over so often that Wyatt's parents decided to just buy an extra bed because it made more sense. And I think it's a subtle way to show how long they've been best friends for.
That does make sense. My reading of it was that Gary just has, like, several siblings. Not just Bill Paxton. Later on, I think it's Gary and whichever girl he ends up with are like found in like what looks like his little sister's bedroom.
Or like an older sister who might be off at college, something like that.
Or that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's possible. It's weird they wouldn't bring it up, but also, it's plot holes galore.
Weird.
Science. You also talked earlier, they kind of just rush into the plot. However, I think like I brought up before, it works for this type of film. Like, we're not here for a well-paced plot. We're here for hijinks. Let's get to the catalyst as soon as possible so we can start getting into the weird.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal here. John Hughes was just like, hold my beer, we're going right to the plot.
Speaking of getting right to the plot, Gary being sold on this idea by Wyatt, and Wyatt offers zero logic into how it can be done. He essentially just tells Gary, like, all right, get to sciencing, and then it just jumps right into an 80s montage. There's no lead up whatsoever. There's no, like, but if we did this, but if you use your computer, you could make a thing. And then Gary was like, wait, you're right. I could make a thing if I just scienced.
Yeah, I have been racking my brain trying to think of a more ridiculous hacking scene than what we get here, where they're hacking into the government servers.
Oh my God, I'm so mad about it. I'm so like, you're getting into a government computer to get more power, not computing power, mind you, more electric power.
Yeah, that's what the government has.
No, it doesn't work like that, especially back then. That's not how that worked. There is no chance in hell that what they were computing, they would have been able to transfer over to themselves over a goddamn phone line. And then the visualization of the hacking, like it literally is.
It's so ridiculous.
I hate watching hacking because I know what it actually looks like. It's a terminal command and someone typing in things. It's not like, whoa, man, we're going through the cyberspace. It's none of that bullshit. It's 1984, for f***'s sake. Why? Why does this look like this?
Come on, Corey, don't pretend you don't go through 3D tunnels and skulls laughing at you to get to what you need to do at work. Come on now.
I guess, like, to give the film some credit, it is living up to its name. We kick off with the weird, right? Like, right from the beginning. But one thing you're going to notice as we keep going through this, it keeps upping the weird as we go. The science stays where it is, but the weird keeps getting upped, and I think that's a strength in this film. And I'll point out as we go what last weird thing happened and why the next weird thing that happens is even weirder.
I look forward to it.
Do you also look forward to wearing a bra on your head because it's ceremonial?
What makes you think I'm not right now?
That's very true. Your camera isn't working, but I do love that one touch.
By the way, why are we wearing bras on our heads?
Ceremonial.
It's very silly.
And that's what this film does well. It's very good when it wants to just be silly for the sake of being silly.
Light fun, don't worry about it, don't think too hard. Please don't think too hard. You'll hurt yourself if you do.
Speaking of thinking too hard, let's talk the Lisa introduction. She says a line that kind of sets what her overall goal is for these boys. She says it really out loud.
You guys had better loosen up.
And she sticks to that. That's her goal. Like, she knows what she is here to do. She is the magical pixie dream girl, right? In this situation. Mm-hmm. She is here for one thing and one thing only before she disappears off. She's a sexual Mary Poppins, if you will.
So Mary Poppins.
You didn't hear it from me.
Spoonful of sugar? Come on.
Spoonful of that ass. Jesus. Moving on.
Yeah, no, she's there for their character development.
And she's a great guide. I really, really love this character. I really love the actress as well. I've already forgotten her name, but she's a model, but it's surprising to see a model have a lead role and actually pull off a pretty solid performance. So good for you. Good for her. Good for us.
Good for America.
The trio head out for the night, with Lisa promptly producing a pink 1959 Cadillac Eldorado convertible. She takes the boys to a blues dive bar in Chicago, using her powers to procure fake IDs for them. At the bar, the boys proceed to get drunk. They're establishing here that Lisa, for reasons, has some kind of magical powers. No explanation whatsoever is given, just setting the rule for the rest of the film.
What can you do?
You can add that it's kind of gotten a little bit weirder now because now all of a sudden it's revealed, oh, I have powers. Like here, your suits are actually really, really fancy zoot suits now. Oh, hey, I just made this car out of thin air. Oh, you need fake IDs? Here you go. Just take these. So, okay, well, it wasn't so much that a woman was somehow created from a computer. She now has magical powers. I think that's up in the weird factor here.
Yeah, those government servers, they'll get you.
I love this CD Blues Bar setting, along with like some of the hijinks that happen in there, like Wyatt entering the bathroom and he's so nervous he ends up sitting on the lap of somebody using the toilet, and the only thing he exclaims is,
Well, goddamn.
if I was a 15-year-old boy and I sat on a grown man's lap on the toilet accidentally, I don't think that would be the first thing I utter.
I love the little scene of before Anthony Michael Hall is drunk when he's just awkwardly talking to the people at the table. That's just delightful. It shows that he's, still very nervous and a kid and everything. But then after he gets drunk, man.
Yeah.
I'm not done yet. I don't like it.
So to give some background to those who may have not seen the movie, which go watch the movie and listen to the podcast, you're weird. Gary gets hammered because he sits at a group of table and these men just keep pouring him like a crap ton of bourbon. After he's hammered, he's talking to them about this girl that he has a crush on. However, he is not talking like a white boy from the Chicago suburbs like he has been throughout the entire film up to this point. He actually, in fact, starts talking jive. It is very cringy to look back on this, but it threw me so hard because I wasn't expecting it. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed really hard. Specifically, just some of the, not the way he was talking, but the lines he said, like,
She wouldn't have had to worry about no titties for the rest of her life.
what a sentence for anybody to state in any type of accent.
Yeah, and he just keeps going with that black scent. He just goes on and on and on, and you think the movie will be done with it, but nope, more.
That's the truth, baby.
It just threw me so fucking hard. Like, I know I shouldn't be laughing at this, and I fully admit that I shouldn't be, and it's just out of nowhere this comes out, and they never refer back to it once he's sober,
Which is fine.
but it just feels like a throwaway like hijink. But also, again, that's the film. Like, these hijinks aren't really supposed to link very well together. It just, the weird and the science happened and the things and the boys and the yard with milkshakes.
That's the truth, baby.
I'm not going to justify it. I'm not. I'm just going to explain this is why I laughed hard at it. And I did enjoy, like, some of these lines. I didn't enjoy the accent. I enjoyed the lines, though. And I think that maybe if you even took out the accent, I think him just saying, like, she wouldn't have to worry about titties the rest of her life. The line still works. It's the delivery that I have the problem with.
Okay, yeah, I'll agree with you there.
Also, just like another thing that feels really weird is, so they think he's a full-grown man, right?
Yeah.
And right off the bat, he's like, man, I've been chasing this 8th grade girl last year. And they all question, like, the 8th grade? He's like, the 8th grade. No one stops him. No one was like, the f are you talking about? They just kind of roll with it. I want to say it's because they knew he was really, really drunk and realized, okay, he's not like a 21-year-old, but we're patrons. We don't actually care. Because to be fair, this was the 80s. They wouldn't have cared.
True.
But still, I feel like that's the line for me that, like, that's the one line in that I really didn't like. I'm like, we could have just cut that out and it'd have been fine. I get they probably played it for like awkward laughs, but it just didn't. That was the one line in there that didn't work for me, no matter how you're going to deliver it.
Yeah, it's cringy, but, a 15-year-old going after an 8th grader is better than a 23-year-old going after a 15-year-old.
We'll get there.
We will get there.
They return home drunk, where Chet, played by Bill Paxton, Wyatt's mean older brother, extorts $175 from Wyatt in exchange for his silence. Lisa agrees to keep herself hidden from him, but she realizes that Gary and Wyatt, while sweet, are very uptight and need to unwind. Chet is your standard 80s bully. He's cruel, full of himself, quick to jump to violence, an all around big old jerk.
He's at least, an entertaining jerk because he's Bill Paxton. But that laugh that he chose is certainly a choice.
I want to say that he chose that because he knew it was annoying and it would get the audience to hate him more.
I buy that.
Also, his character, while a complete stereotype, works for two reasons in the entire plot. So each of these boys needs a clear obstacle for them to overcome so that they can become comfortable with their authentic selves, right?
Sure.
That's what Chet is to Wyatt. He is the obstacle. Like, if Wyatt can beat Chet, Wyatt can beat anything. Like, Wyatt will have all the confidence in the world, right?
Yeah.
And the second reason this works is it's an 80s teen comedy. You gotta have an over-the-top bully.
Naturally. Also, side note, I work with a guy that has a laugh like that, only more obnoxious. It's very jarring to hear. No matter like where you are in the building, you can always hear it. But it gives me hope, because I know that man's wife loves him so very much. She chooses to be with him every single day. That is love, Corey.
That's the truth, baby.
May we all find someone who loves us, no matter what kind of laugh we have.
Okay, let's talk about the kiss. What's Lisa's way of getting Wyatt to loosen up? Kiss him, which in the context of her programming, it makes sense. But in reality, this is a 25-year-old kissing a 16-year-old, which were the actual ages of the performers here. We obviously know better now, especially Hollywood does, because for any type of like kiss or sexual scene, they now have a what's it called?
Intimacy coordinator.
Yes, they now have an intimacy coordinator on set for any and all of these shots, no matter like what type of production it is. Everything's discussed ahead of time, and it's more well thought out, which I'm really happy that the industry has taken that choice and implemented that. I think it's comfortable for everybody at the same time. Like, nobody's getting taken advantage of here. Everybody knows what's going to happen. They're observing the shots as they're happening to make sure everyone's like, sticking to what they're supposed to be doing. But this was the 80s and that didn't exist.
If the genders were reversed, it would read a lot creepier, which is a problem in society. Because either way, that's creepy.
That's the truth, baby.
The next morning, Gary and Wyatt awake to Wyatt's house undamaged, with the two questioning whether it was all a dream. After another humiliating experience at the mall when Max and Ian pour a slushie on Gary and Wyatt in front of a crowd, Lisa tells the bullies about a party at Wyatt's house before driving off in a Porsche 928 she conjured for Gary. I like the idea of them trying to first play it off like, oh, everything that happened, it was all a dream, but it also kind of felt a bit like filler at the end of it.
This is, another example of the pacing of this movie. We rush to get into the plot, we rush to get out of it, but when we're here, it kind of slogs.
There's sometimes they add scenes in that just don't make sense. Like, they're trying to further push some of the things that we've already been shown, but because we're rushing through, we established like these things like 5 minutes ago, like the breakfast scene here. It's supposed to show that Wyatt still won't stand up to Chet. And the homophobia being shown by Chet aside, it's too soon after our last run-in with Chet for us to feel disappointed in Wyatt. Like, Wyatt's growth isn't going to literally come overnight. And that's what I feel like the plot was trying to say, like, oh, he should be better now because he kissed that girl. Why? No, it's been like 5 minutes ago. It's not a flip of a switch. You have to earn that type of like, oh man, I thought he had it this time.
But how great is Robert Downey Jr. at playing just like a big old stinker?
Oh my God, he's having the time of his life.
So much fun as a bully.
And also, the bullies at the mall, other than being typical 80s jock bullies, they serve as an obstacle for both Gary and Wyatt to overcome. They got to get past these guys with their confidence in order to be their authentic selves. Lisa knows this. To me, she's planning on using the party to get them to, quote-unquote, defeat the bullies.
That's definitely part of it, for sure. I think Lisa has very elaborate plans. And, for all the creepiness of, like, the age difference between Lisa and the boys, I will give the movie credit for portraying them as just, like, a functioning throuple. It's not something you see every day. in movies, especially in the 80s. But it's just kind of like, it's a thing, and everyone's cool with it.
Yeah, like no one ever questions like, wait, you're dating them both together? That's weird. No one says that. Everyone's just like, oh, okay. They just roll with it, which I don't think was Hughes' intention whatsoever. But we'll count it as a win for polyamory everywhere.
There we go.
Despite Wyatt's protests, Lisa insists that the party take place. She meets Gary's parents, Al, played by Britt Leach, and Lucy, played by Barbara Lang, who are shocked and dismayed at the things she says and her frank manner, to Gary's embarrassment. After she pulls a stainless 44 Magnum on them, later revealed to Gary to be a water pistol, she alters their memories so that Lucy forgets about the conflict. However, Al forgets that they have a son all together. I gotta tell you, Lisa out here with that big energy when she's talking to Gary's parents. She's pouring Gary a beer. She's smoking a cigarette. She is not even remotely hesitating while talking to these people and pretty much telling them, like, your kid's kind of screwed up. You gotta let him do, like, some wild stuff sometimes.
She does not give a about what she's saying or to whom. I especially love the line,
You know, there's going to be sex, drugs, rock and roll, chips, dips, chains, whips.
to describe the party.
Those are all the things that excite me.
Hey, Rihanna. She sure does love her chips and dips.
What's also important with this scene with Gary's parents is now we see the individual obstacle that Gary has to overcome in order to gain confidence, which takes place in the form of his overbearing father. Like, look at the way that Gary cowers when his dad stands up and starts screaming at Lisa. I feel like because of this fear Gary has for his dad, Lisa kind of also makes him forget about Gary as like a form of extra punishment.
I buy that. Lisa can do anything, and she does.
At the Donnelly house, the party has spun out of control. Gary and Wyatt take refuge in the bathroom, where they resolve to have fun despite having embarrassed themselves in front of Deb and Hilly. You know, I think we covered this on that episode that no longer exists, where we did 10 Things I Hate About You, but if this many people ever showed up to my house when I'm having a party, I'm calling the cops. And I don't call the cops for anything.
Well, then you're having the wrong kind of parties, kid.
We all can't go skiing, Steve.
Shit.
There's also a little callback here, though. The bartender was one of the guys at the table of the dive bar. And when one of the bullies tries to talk jive to the guy, he shuts them down so quick.
Like he should have done to Anthony Michael Hall.
He should have, yes. However, this is a nice comparison to how Gary and Wyatt were treated by the same folks at that bar, even though they acted exactly the same.
Double standards.
That's the truth, baby.
A nice little moment when Gary and Wyatt are in the bathroom, and the girls are also in the bathroom, and Gary and Wyatt are in the shower. And they have that just like quiet rapid fire conversation where they're barely audible and they're just close-ups on either of their mouths going back and forth. It's a fun little moment. It really shows their friendship.
It also, like, the way that was shot, it gave me, like, Better Off Dead vibes, if you've ever seen that film.
I have not.
It's a John Cusack 80s comedy. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend. But it's kind of shot in that, like, really weird... I don't even know how to describe the type of humor that is. Like, almost, like... obscure? No. I don't have the right... See, that's why you should watch Better Off Dead, because it's so niche in the type of humor it has. It's just a lot of fun. Like, the close-up of their mouths is really, really cool. It just shows, like, how seriously that they're both taking this moment that they've been gifted. And because they're also trying so hard to be cool, it makes it even funnier.
Mm-hmm.
But also notice they have a bit more confidence than they did prior. Like, they never would have even spoken to, let alone had a whole conversation with these girls before Lisa came around.
Conversation, I feel like, is generous for what goes on in that bathroom.
It's more of a conversation that either of them have ever had with another woman.
True. You got me there. But they're just kind of like standing there staring at them for the most part.
Yeah, it's like a school dance.
Yeah.
I'm sure that wasn't the intent, but, you know, maybe the curtains aren't just blue.
Maybe.
In Wyatt's bedroom, Ian and Max convince Gary and Wyatt to recreate the events that created Lisa, but the process fails. Lisa chides them over their misuse of the process to impress their tormentors. She also explains that they forgot to connect the doll, thus, with the bare but live electrodes resting on a magazine page showing a Pershing 2 medium-range ballistic missile, a real missile emerges, crashing through the house. The whole conversation of the bullies asking to borrow Lisa,
Yeah.
God, that gave me the ick. Like even with the context of and watching this with 80s glasses on, they're sitting there trying to barter with the boys by trading Lisa for some time with Deb and Hilly, and it just real bad taste in my mouth.
Agency, what's that?
All right, let's talk also the recreation process here. I love the callback where they're wearing all the bras on their head and all
Yes.
of but this time no one asks what it is. Like you could literally just imagine like Gary just being like, hold on, put this bra on. And he's like, why? Just ceremonial. And they're just rolling with it. It's such a funny visual, man. I love it so much. And it kind of plays into like the high school silliness. Like, we all did silly, stupid things in high school because reasons. And I don't know. I feel like it's just such an innocent thing for them to do. But also, where did they get the bras from?
That's what I want to know. It could be Wyatt's mom. It could be his sister who's not there.
I feel like either of them are weird enough. Like,
Yeah.
Wyatt, how do you how do you know that your mom has four identical white bras?
That's the 80s, baby. And then, of course, we got to have our obligatory nudity scene with the girl playing the piano.
You know, there's a Playboy centerfold.
I did not know that.
A centerfold or bunny, probably both.
Huh.
Also, I kind of liked that gag where like everything starts getting sucked into the fireplace and thrown out the chimney, including the girl. Typical 80s. We got to see the titties.
Gotta have them titties.
In a PG-13 film, too, nonetheless. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's back when PG-13 meant something.
I'm telling you. Also, Lisa is disappointed in these boys because they're completely missing the lesson she's been trying to teach them. And the consequences of them not getting it, as she puts it, is a giant missile emerging through the house. So again, we are further upping the weird from the last really weird thing that happened.
And it's not just a missile coming through the house. The kitchen turns blue.
Pictures start dancing, people getting trapped in televisions.
Oh my god, yes, yes. I do like the touch of the dove landing on the top of the missile.
Just the visual of that. Like, you know what, guys? Maybe we should give peace a chance. I'm just imagining, like, Hughes in the director's chair going, can we get a dove for this shot? Why? Trust me.
I'm gonna make a statement.
Meanwhile, Wyatt's grandparents, played by Ivor Barry and Ann Coyle, arrive and confront Lisa about the party, but she places them in a frozen, catatonic state and hides them in a kitchen cupboard. Lisa realizes that the boys need a challenge to boost their confidence and has a gang of mutant bikers crash the party, causing chaos and terrorizing the guests. Wyatt's grandparents thing feels super shoehorned in. I think you could have cut this out entirely and it really wouldn't have affected the plot that much. It almost feels like it was added on to pad some time or to just have a scene of old people going like, well, I never!
Yeah, it's more stakes for Wyatt, but he didn't really need them.
Right, like he's not even that concerned about his grandparents to begin with. Like at the end when like Chet finds them, I guess that's like the catalyst for him, but you could have done a plethora of other things to really set Chet off, not just him finding his grandparents in a catatonic state in the cupboard. Spoiler alerts. If you haven't watched this film, just go watch it and then listen to the episode. Come on, be a person.
Come on.
But make sure you listen to it like 5 times. Make up for it. Thank you.
Get that ad revenue!
Also, at this point, we are upping the weird again, because now we have a gang of mutant bikers taking over and ruining the party, which has now kind of gone a bit of a step beyond with the hijinks. So before all the hijinks before here, they were kind of like cute and they were funny, but now it's a whole other level. Now it's dangerous. Now we're getting into the more serious side of the plot, which is a weird thing to say, given that I just said a gang of mutant bikers have taken over and ruining a party.
Another bit of cringe here with the leader of the gang kind of having his face made up and his hair and whatnot, looking like a Native American. Like, that wasn't necessary.
So that's actually a tribute to a character he played on, I think it was Mad Max 2.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same actor. That's why they call him Mad Max.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The look could have been more tasteful.
You're not wrong. It's the 80s. I
It's the
understand why
80s.
they did it and they didn't care. We know better now.
Yep.
I, I feel like that should be like a sticker, just like it was the 80s. People were too worried about Russia to care about like offending other races. Come on.
The lawless wasteland before the lawless wasteland.
The lawless wasteland of racism.
Ooh.
I love the conversation Lisa has with the boys when they're hiding in the closet. Like Gary's wisecracking back at her before he shuts the door. Every single one of these is really, really funny, especially the ending one.
Don't let John Wayne hear you say that.
The man is dead, Lisa, okay?
And closes the door. Beautiful. I love it. I love it so much. Like Anthony Michael Hall, please come on the pod.
Oh, please, absolutely.
When the bikers take Deb and Hilly hostage, Wyatt and Gary confront them, causing Deb and Hilly to fall in love with them. The bikers leave, and the next morning, Chet returns from duck hunting to discover the house in disarray, including a localized snowstorm in his room and the missile. Lisa has the boys escort the girls home while she talks to Chet alone. Gary and Wyatt proclaim their feelings, and both girls reciprocate. Let's first talk the mutant showdown. We have the one mutant going on and on about how big a loser the boys are, and he's calling back where they've chickened out, embarrassing them in front of everyone. It's, almost like they're backed into a corner and the boys decide, oh, there's nowhere else to go, so they may as well go out swinging. But there's a real confidence that's exuded from them here.
There is, and I just kind of feel like it isn't super earned. It's just like we're at this time mark in the movie, so the boys have to have development.
What is a motivator, Steve? Cut that. Cut that.
Ooh.
That's the truth, baby.
And yeah, Anthony, Gary, standing up to them, he drops an F slur. It's not great. It's the 80s.
It's not the first time an F slur has been dropped here as well. Chet dropped one earlier in the kitchen during breakfast. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the 80s. We know better now, but it kind of does take you out of the moment, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, another missed opportunity for a great line. When they hit the mutants with that "you can leave in peace," but they don't follow up the line with "or you can leave in pieces." Just a very generic "or you can stay and die." Come on, man. Like this is the time to hit that like action one-liner and you didn't take it.
Come on, Wyatt.
John Hughes, you come on, man. You're better than this.
Absolutely.
Again, I just want a little bit more playfulness to kind of keep up with the tone of the film.
I hear you. I do love the line that the one biker says as they're leaving.
Can we keep this between us? I'd hate to lose my teaching job.
It's beautiful. That's my favorite line in the movie.
Something I just thought of, too, that's kind of a nice detail. They don't ride their bikes out. They walk them out. They walk their motorcycles out.
It's very respectful.
Right? Like, it's a total change of pace. Like, they're 100% humbled now. I kind of like that. That's a nice touch.
Yeah. And then Gary shoots down the chandelier, and that's what makes the girls fall for them.
Isn't that how you get girls? You just shoot at chandeliers?
Well, I'm gonna try now.
I'm gonna shoot down the chandelier. The chandelier. I'm gonna make that cover song.
Hells yeah.
So let's talk about when Chet comes home, and I have one specific line I just want to deliver to you. So he enters his room, right? Steve, what does he see in his room?
Snow.
Specifically, a snow what?
A snowstorm.
A snowstorm? At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within Chet's bedroom?
Yes.
May I see it?
No.
It's the first thing that went through my head when I saw that. He just looked at it like, what the is happening right now?
Gotta keep it weird.
Again, I think that's another upping of the weird there. Like, okay, we've got mutants coming in, which, all right, they're kind of created out of thin air, but what's happening in Chet's room? A snowstorm. In the middle of, I think they were talking homecoming, so this had to have been in the middle of like the very beginning of fall, if you will.
Yeah. Absolutely wild.
So I brought this up before. where the film just takes a very serious turn to layer in those John Hughesisms that we all love so much. And that's shown here where the boys are talking with the girls. They're having that heart to heart. And, the John Hughesisms, as I'm going to consistently call that from here on out, they make his films so memorable because while they're getting you to laugh and love these characters, it throws in these well earned human moments of true growth. And you really start connecting with these characters a bit more. Now, I understand that they all can't be as memorable as the circle scene in the Breakfast Club, or Uncle Buck having that talk with Tia after he picks her up at the party, or the final scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles where it's revealed that Dell's wife is dead.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, not sorry. But this, again, just felt so out of nowhere because we didn't get those sprinkles throughout the film. We got 98% hijinks and maybe like a few really weird conversations here and there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's super forced to have the girls be into them.
And it causes this part of the film to drag hard.
Mm-hmm. Even with a car chase.
Right. They could have just cut all this, been like, okay, I'll go take them home. They go and they show them like talking on the porch, like, hey, I'd like to see you again. Yeah, that'd be cool. None of this I love you crap because you've known each other for 2 days. All the way off. All the way off with that bull. I understand it's high school, but still, all the way off with that nonsense.
Absolutely.
God. There's a reason why this film didn't feel like Hughes' whole heart was in it, and we're going to get to that later.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. Also, Gary dropping off Hilly?
That doesn't matter.
Gary dropping off the Gary girl. Basically just straight up says, hey, so guess what? I lied about just everything. And she's like, oh, I don't care.
It's the car. Chicks dig the car.
This is why Superman works alone.
I forgot that that's what that's from.
Yeah, you just quoted Batman and Robin. Episode 48. You quoted Joel Schumacher on the pod. Think about that.
Steve, I am so sorry that I've done this. I just want you to know that all of that's not who I am. That's not even my car.
Oh, in that case, I love you. Let's kiss.
Score. Returning to the house, the boys discover Chet, who has now been transformed into a foul, talking, toad-like creature, and he apologizes to Wyatt for his behavior. Upstairs, Lisa assures them that Chet will soon return to normal and, realizing that her purpose is complete, tearfully hugs both Gary and Wyatt before dematerializing. As she leaves, the house is magically cleaned and everything transformed back to normal, including Chet. Wyatt's parents return home, completely unaware that anything unusual has happened. Later, Lisa turns up as the new gym teacher at Shermer High School. And here we have the peak weird, with Chet being changed into an absolutely disgusting-looking monster. This is the weirdest part of this entire film.
Yeah, he's just a slimy little toad, and he eats flies, and farts or whatever, and is just super gross, but he still has that same Chet hair.
Well, yeah, because the hair is pretty gross, let's be honest.
It's super gross.
I will say, though, I really did love the design of the creature here because, again, it just looked so repulsive. They did a good job with this.
And it's still got, like, hints of Bill Paxton.
Just a pinch, like they had his teeth and the hair and like the ears too.
Little bit.
It's a good design. They could have just like thrown something together and have it not look like Chet at all, and they would have just rolled with it. But they put a little effort in, so credit where it's due.
Yeah, and it just ties everything up in a neat little bow. We rushed into the story. We spent way too long in it, and now movie's got to be over. So let's wrap it up.
Yeah, it's a sweet send off though between the boys and Lisa. It felt like a deserved place for both of the boys to end up, and then having her be the new gym teacher, I felt was kind of a way of them like saying sequel? Question mark?
Yeah, I'm okay without a sequel.
Yeah, I'm good on that. Like I said, the TV show is fun for exactly what it is, and I would assume it's less problematic, at least for the 4 episodes I watched it was.
One would hope.
And to kind of wrap all this up, the one thing about John Hughes films, especially like his big films, there's always some type of moral of it. So with it being Hughes-Giving, Steve, I want to start a new tradition here called the Hughes Moral of the Season.
Okay.
And to me, the moral of the season in this film was have some confidence. Put yourself out there, and good things can happen.
That was surprisingly wholesome and sweet.
Unlike this film.
Yep.
And folks, that's the breakdown.
No, we broke it down.
I'm feeling broken. I'm feeling down. And I'm feeling like we need to take a quick break.
Nothing soothes the soul like money.
What about a computer, babe?
Money.
Hey, folks, did you know that we're a couple of corporate whores? We will do whatever you say for money. That's right. We'll give an ad that promises the world to your potential customers for whatever you're trying to sell. Is it true? Doesn't matter. Is it going to work? Still doesn't matter. Give us $5, give us $10. We'll make all your dreams come true as long as your dreams are limited to having your product hawked on our podcast.
But Steve, what if I don't have an advertisement written for you?
Well, for a small extra fee, we can write one for you, aka make one up on the spot and half-ass it.
That's right, folks. If you have any interest in advertising with us, please hit us up on our Instagram at That Sounds Terrible Pod, or find us on Twitter by looking up That Sounds Terrible. Go on.
Slide into our DMs so we can slide into your ads. We're going to do an ad for you.
That's right, folks. Fill our bank accounts so we can line your pockets with that sweet, sweet internet money. Welcome back, folks.
Hello.
Ooh, Steve, that was kind of sensual over there, you know?
Well, I figure let's get weird.
How much do you want to get weird?
Oh, you know, just
Little bits!
Oh, just a little bit.
That's right, folks. Little bits is the part of the pod we get to those things we didn't get to say. Maybe some fun stuff that we learned along the way. So, Steve, do you have a bit?
To start off, just wanted to shout out a little bit more weird stuff that we didn't get to. When the initial creation of Lisa is happening and the storm is brewing and everything is going all topsy-turvy, we've got a dog on someone's ceiling at the neighbor's house, and we've got an exploding lamppost. Just because. I don't think it even got hit by lightning, it just exploded. The ridiculousness is everywhere. And I really like the dog on the ceiling. I just thought it was cute. Never gets resolved. And I just like to think that that dog stayed on the ceiling.
Resilient or not, that dog's long dead.
Oh. Corey, you got a bit?
Shermer High School is also the name of another high school in the John Hughes-averse, a little film called The Breakfast Club. So, if you ask me, these are set in the same universe.
You know, in The Breakfast Club, Brian also has a little scene where he talks jive.
See? It's all coming together.
Ooh, it's all coming back to me now.
Steve, you got a bit?
Near the beginning of the film, when they're at Wyatt's house, before they get the idea to make Lisa, Gary is just in Wyatt's bathroom with shaving cream, just putting it on his face and just splashing it everywhere and getting it all over the sink and everything. And then all he does is just wipe it off his face. He doesn't even try to shave with it. It's just like, what's going on there, bud? Why you gotta play with all that shaving cream?
You've never had a shaving cream party?
I have not. Corey, you got a bit?
So Lisa's name was actually inspired by Apple Computer's first graphic user interface computer, i.e. the first computer where you can use a mouse and click on things. You're not just entering code and hoping for the best.
I wondered about that.
Which, for those who don't know, that was called the Apple Lisa.
Yeah, named after Steve Jobs' daughter that he swore wasn't his daughter.
Steve Jobs is, something.
He's a bad man.
He's a dead man. So, the joke's on him, isn't it?
Try having another daughter now. Got him.
Steve, do you have a bit?
Just something that made me giggle about Chet's character. When he's originally extorting money from Wyatt to buy his silence, he says a misquote there. He says, time to pay the fiddler. And I just thought that was amusing because he got the whole Pied Piper thing wrong. It's supposed to be paid the piper, but he says fiddler instead. Might as well get up on the roof. Corey, any more bits?
So I brought up that there's probably a reason why this really isn't that strong of a John Hughes film.
Yes.
And the reason for that is because apparently he wasn't very happy while filming this film only because it ended up interfering with another project he cared more about. And this actually resulted in him working like almost an entire year in a row on both of these films. He only agreed to direct Weird Science because Universal gave him a deal where he could also direct the movie that he really wanted to direct that he also wrote, a little film called The Breakfast Club.
Huh.
But I think that that speaks to maybe why his heart wasn't so much in this. He was kind of like, listen, I wrote it. It's fine. I didn't really want to direct this, but he was kind of forced to. So maybe that's why it feels like more like a watered down Hughes film at the end of the day.
Yeah, I buy that. One for them, one for me. That's how it works.
That's the truth, baby.
Little bits.
Oh, just a little bit.
All right, folks, now it's time for everyone's favorite segment.
Oh, the Untitled Ben Affleck segment?
That's right, Steve. It's As Played by Ben Affleck.
Untitled Ben Affleck segment.
Now, for those who've never listened in, As Played by Ben Affleck
Untitled Ben Affleck segment.
is when we choose one character from the film that we just watched to replace with Ben Affleck. Now, there are 3 eras of Ben Affleck that we had to choose from, so we choose a character to replace with Ben Affleck, what era, and why. First off, we have the Good Will Hunting era Ben Affleck, which is when he was the indie darling and just starting to get into action films. Next up is the Jiggly era Ben Affleck. This is the rom-com starting around the release of the Jiggly film. Finally, we have Batfleck era Ben Affleck, where he's older, more chiseled, and got that beautiful salt and pepper beard. Now, with that being said, Steve, who are you replacing with Ben Affleck? What era and why?
I am going to be replacing mutant biker lead gang member Mad Max with Batfleck era Ben Affleck. I think it would be incredibly imposing, and it would be very silly seeing that very serious salt and pepper man talk about two kids being unpopular in high school.
In that gravelly voice, too. I could buy that.
Yeah, that's right. Tell me, do you go to parties besides this one? So, Corey, who are you replacing with Ben Affleck? What era and why?
I would be replacing Monster Toad Disgusto version 5000 Chet with Jiggly era Ben Affleck. Don't change the costume. It's just put him in there, and they're all like, "Oh my god, he's so disgusting. You look so vile." Again, just something stupid and silly that to me brings a little bit more joy into my life just picturing it.
Oh, how do you like them apples?
And folks, that's going to be As Played by Ben Affleck.
Untitled Ben Affleck segment.
And of course, it's going to bring us to our final question, which is, of course, Steve, would you watch this film again?
Probably not. Before this watch, I had looked on this film with rose-colored glasses from when I saw it as a kid. Those are no longer there. It's a pretty cringy movie. It's not very good. I probably would not watch it.
But Steve, under what circumstances would you watch this film again?
You know, I'd have to be in an inebriated party sort of setting. Like if we got a whole bunch of people that just want to like make fun of a cheesy bad 80s movie, this is not an awful choice for that. There's a lot to pick apart here. Probably have to be something like that. Tongue in cheek, substances, debauchery. Corey, would you watch this movie again?
No, I think I'm good. I think the twice I watched it in preparation for this pod is good enough for me. There's just not enough good here to make me want to revisit this. It's very lowbrow humor. It's a very like weak attempt at John Hughes to make the kind of films that he really enjoyed making. But overall, I don't think I need to see it again. I don't really think that it holds up well either. Like even looking like especially looking through today's lenses, but even through like some 80s lenses, I could totally understand why this wasn't like a smash hit like a lot of other John Hughes films were. I would imagine this probably gained a lot more noticeability like playing on like HBO or cable or something like that, and people caught that and they were like, "Oh, this is really cool," because I guess it's hailed as a cult classic. So I'd roll with that at that point.
So those are the circumstances under which you'd watch that movie then.
I'd have to be high. I think I'd have to be like in a good high for that to happen, because probably in a way where I wouldn't be really paying attention to it, but maybe I'm watching with some other people who maybe have never seen it before, and maybe we could just poke a little fun at it. Maybe, whatever. Either way, I don't think I'd watch it alone, but if I do watch it again, I'd have to be high, like just the right amount.
That's fair.
And folks, it's going to wrap up 1985's weird science, and conclude our Hughes-Giving annual episode. We did it.
Oh, we sure did. A blessed Hughes-Giving to one and all.
And to all, a good night. Wait, Steve, wait, hold on. We can't go to sleep yet. What do you, wake up, wake up, wake up. What are we doing next time?
What?
Steve, what are we doing next time? Come on.
Well, next time means... Wait a second. Next time is December. December is Crimbus. Crimbus is Christmas. We're gonna have to do a certified holiday classic. What about that little guy with the thing on his face, the shiny red nose guy, the guy with the guy.
Rudy Giuliani?
That's the one.
Oh, that alcoholic? No, I don't think we can do anything about him.
All right, how about a different Rudy?
You know what? How about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
That sounds more appropriate.
That's right, folks. We're going to be tackling 1964's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the classic stop-motion Christmas special, produced by the ones, the onlys, Rankin Bass. Folks, you better watch out. You better not cry, because Rudolph will kick the crap out of you if you do.
Dude, reindeer are vicious.
They sure are, and we're going to get into that next time. But until then, I've been Corey.
I'm Steve.
Bye.
Bye. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but chips and dips excite me. Gotta have them titties.